Hello and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into building custom skills for Claude. We're going to talk about how you can transform it from just a general purpose assistant into a super specialized partner, one that knows your unique workflows. The goal, teach it something once and it never, ever forgets. Let's get into it. You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You start a new chat and you have to lay out all the context again. Explain all your preferences. Walk through the specific steps for a task you do, like, all the time. It's repetitive and honestly, it's a bit of a drag. But what if there was a much better way? Well, there is, and that's where a Claude skill comes in. Just think of it like a pre-packaged recipe that you hand over to Claude. You build it just one time, and from that moment on, it knows exactly how to handle that task. This, right here, is the absolute key to creating powerful, consistent workflows. So, what is a skill when you get right down to it? At its core, it's really about adding a whole layer of knowledge on top of raw capability. It's the thing that turns Claude's potential into a reliable, repeatable workflow that you can actually count on every single day. This image breaks it down perfectly. You've got two main pieces to this puzzle. First, you have the connector, or MCP. That's all about connectivity. It's what gives Claude access to all your tools and data. But then you have the skill. That's the knowledge layer. That's the brain telling Claude how to use all that access intelligently. And I absolutely love this analogy because it just makes so much sense. Your connector, the MCP, is like a professional-grade kitchen. It's got all the best tools, all the freshest ingredients, all the equipment you could ever want. But without a recipe, you're just kind of winging it, right? The skill is that Michelin star recipe that guarantees you get a perfect result every single time. And the way this is designed is just incredibly smart. It uses a principle called progressive disclosure to save you time and, let's be real, money on tokens. See, instead of loading every single instruction all at once, which can be super resource intensive, it works in layers. It loads just enough info to figure out when to use a skill, then it loads the full instructions. And only if it gets really stuck does it go deep into reference docs. It makes the whole process incredibly efficient. All right, so now we get the what and the why of skills. Let's move on to the blueprint. Step 1 is all about planning and designing your skill so it's set up for success from the very beginning. So here's the most important part. A great skill doesn't start with writing code. No way. It starts with a super clear, well-defined use case. You have to know exactly what the user says that triggers the skill, what the precise steps are that it needs to follow, and what a successful result actually looks like. If you get this part right, trust me, everything else becomes so much easier. So before you write a single line of code, just pause. Ask yourself these questions. What is the user really trying to do here? What are the exact steps involved? And maybe most importantly, what's that secret sauce, that special domain knowledge that you can bake into this skill to make it unbelievably powerful? Okay, with a rock-solid plan in place, we are ready for the fun part. Let's roll up our sleeves and get into the practical side of things, actually building and testing out your skill. And you know what? The structure is actually refreshingly simple. At the very heart of it, there's just one required file, skll.md. Everything else, any scripts, reference documents, assets, it's all optional. So you can start really simple and then build out from there. Now, listen up, because this is important. Inside that skill.md file, right at the very top, is something called the YAML front matter. And I'm telling you, this is the single most important part of your entire skill. Why? Because that little block of text is what Claude reads to decide if and when your skill should be used. It's the skill's first impression, and you have to get it right. And just look at the difference this makes. A bad description like helps with projects. I mean, that's totally useless. Claude has no idea what to do with that. But look at the good one. It's super specific about what it does, analyzing Figma files, and crucially, it gives Claude trigger phrases. This is exactly what tells Claude, hey, wait a minute, the user just said design specs. I know exactly which skill to use for that. For the main instructions inside your file, the name of the game is clarity. Be specific, give actionable commands, and think ahead what might go wrong here. Go ahead and include some error handling or troubleshooting steps. And remember that whole progressive disclosure thing? Keep these instructions concise and just link out to your more detailed reference guides. So, is all this work actually worth it? Oh yeah, the payoff is huge. Just look at these numbers.
For a really complex task, you go from a messy back and forth 15-message conversation all the way down to just 2 messages. And you cut your token usage in half. That is a massive, tangible win in efficiency.
So you've planned your skill, you've built it, you've tested it. It works beautifully. Now what? Well, now it's time to share it, whether that's just with your internal team or with the entire world.
And the recommended way to do this is really straightforward, using tools you probably already use. Host it on GitHub, write a good, clear README file for the humans, and create a dead, simple installation guide. The goal is just to make it as easy as possible for someone to find your skill and start getting value from it right away. And here's a final pro tip on sharing. How you talk about your skill really, really matters. Don't focus on the technical stuff, the features. Focus on the outcome. You're not calling an MCP server, you're setting up a project workspace in seconds. Tell that bigger story of how connectivity plus knowledge creates something that feels like magic. So that's the whole guide to building skills for Claude. It's such a powerful way to capture knowledge and build these reliable automated workflows. And that really just leaves one question for you to think about. What's the very first repetitive task, the first expert workflow that you're going to teach Claude?